the moment you've all been waiting for, Baby Saja. His rap sequence at the end of that movie in the song, I can't remember the name of the song now, but epic. Really good. And then there's a moment when he goes, like he says, I'm going viral. And he puts his claw up on his face. And this picture has gone viral. So it's like, do you think the people who wrote the movie knew that? Like, this is going to go viral. Let's draw this. Landscape page. Pencil eraser. Hit pause if I go too fast. Not a simple drawing. So, because of the head tilt and everything, you're dealing with some perspective and smaller eyes and things. So just to get the center point, we will do his nose first, and we're looking up at his nose. So you want to go and kind of like his eyebrow would be around here. So we'll do this. Right, and this is like the tip of his nose here, right? So not easy. Right, so it's like, that's like the bridge of his nose, this little hook, and then, so that hooks that way, and then that hooks up and down, right? And the nostrils will help it make sense. So you just got these kind of V's, or like arrows pointing up. Okay. And then the skin of this nostril will kind of like just come around here. Right? And that's kind of all I would draw for his nose. I wouldn't do much more than that, because everything's kind of like diagonal, crazy because of the perspective. It makes it a bit harder. So now the eye situation. So his eyes, 3/4 pose. So we got like the small eye here and the large eye over this way. And because he's looking down and like he's doing that look on his face as well. So it's like his eyes are very narrow. So what we'll do is just across from here, right? Maybe probably right across from this. You could probably fit another nose as well. So like the width of his nose would probably go across just, and then that's kind of where you could see the start of his eye kind of. So you can nearly fit a nose here in between. And then you start kind of like the pointy sort of eyelash sort of area. That'd be his tear duct. And then we will attempt to bring over these dark eyelashes that they have, that the Saja boys have, right? And I might exaggerate it a bit, it's probably going to be, I'm going to thicken them up for the purposes of the drawing. And then we'll go down this way, right? Now, very thin eye, because we're looking down at him. He's looking down at us, sorry. It's confusing. And then he's got the big golden eyes. Fun fact, Baby Saja is the only demon that we know of that has kept his round eyes. Bit of trivia for you. So your circle is coming up and down, right? And there are very large discs in here. And then the round pupil that isn't demon form is here. Just a round pupil, and then color that black. Now, it can be sort of browny orange, depending on what we like to do it, but we got to do black. So then he's got the eye line with some bit of eye makeup on it that comes across here and down. And then perhaps like a little line just around the bottom there. That's not easy. We can't really see his eyebrows. Like we can't see them too well because it's a real dark moment in the movie for lots of reasons, but like the actual image is dark. But I ain't gonna give him eyebrows because I do know he has them. So we'll just do this. And like the hair might come down over some of these, but you know, his hair might cover some of the eyebrow. Righty, not bad. You got me going viral. Okay, his other eye is even smaller than this one. And you can barely see it because it's 3/4, it's on the other side. So the top eyelid, it's down, it's below this one, right? Because his head is sort of tilted this way. So you want to do it like below here, right? So it's starting, sort of, this would be like his eyelid, his bottom eyelid. Right, kind of curves down that way. It's like his cheek and his eyelid. Kind of here, right? And then the top eyelid line will be a thicker, darker, heavier sort of eyelash sort of situation as well. And then you can actually see the eyeball kind of in there. And then you can barely see the yellow part. It goes up and down pretty close to his nose. So it goes there and then down there. And then the black or brown, depending on your color choice. You know, it's like orangey brown. And then there's an eyelid line. And maybe a bit of an eyelid line here, like just at his cheek, kind of. So his eyebrows just at the top of this curve for the nose as well, right? So we'll put it sort of here, just down from this eyebrow, and it'll curve around the brow section sort of here, right? So that's like his eye socket area. And then this will just come across here. You get me going viral. Okay, so the mouth. So open, singing, and we can see some teeth. So top lip kind of comes across here underneath the nostrils, and then it curves down there. And then the other side curves down here. Very particular shape, right? And then we can see his skin of his lips, so like this way. And then this side, I think, just comes down there. And then this side goes this way. And he kind of flicks up here to make it look like he's kind of smiling a little bit, I think. Now his claw is pulling his, there's different ways you can do it. There's one where the claw is in the mouth, but I like the one because you can see more in the mouth. It's easier to draw, where his lip is being sort of pulled by or scratched by the claw. So this goes around, right? It's kind of being pulled up and down. And then this just goes back to there. And then the bottom lip, kind of covered a little bit by the claw, but you can see it mostly there. And then we got his teeth. Going around here, and you might see like some fang or something. Might be a little fang just here in the corner. And it's all just black in there. You can't see a tongue or anything, right? I think you could see there's a blurry thing here, which could be another fang or the back of his mouth, or it could be his gum. It's very blurry, so I will leave that, because just in case it's like not anything and it's just like an artifact of the picture, you know what I mean? So it's all just black in there. You could color it black if you wanted, like with your pen now, or just if you wanted to do it like a dark red, you could, or pink, sort of the way the image is. So we'll try and get his face shape. So we'll go for his cheekbone, so very sort of high cheekbones. Sort of there, right? And then down. His finger covers his chin here, but I will draw it and we can sort of erase afterwards. This is like his chin then. Here. Now, because we're looking up, there's two different ways of doing the jaw. So I'll just leave a gap, right? And we'll just do the main part of the jaw. That goes pretty straight that way, right? But then your jaw sort of joins to your neck when you're looking up this way. So there's an extra little like area there on the neck, because we're looking up at his cheeks, like so, like his cheekbone is like underneath his eye there. But that has all the markings and stuff on it, so you can do that or not. Yeah, I might remove them because it'll get in the way of the markings. Sorry. Oops. I forgot about the face marks, because these lines will just confuse it. So just at the top of the jaw here, if you were changing, like he's got all those strings down here, but we can see his ear just coming out from underneath his hair. Right, so on some ear lines inside. So then I guess we just do his hair then. So it's like lots of these kind of hair spikes, right? Round sort of things like this. Da, da, da. And you just add lots of textures and stuff to all this, like, and some of them sort of overlap, you know. to his fringe. So like comes right down close to the eyebrow here, out from underneath the hat. So lots of these now. I think the hat line is just on top here somewhere, so we'll just stop it. There's like a half circle sort of shape for the hat, but we'll get the rest of his hair in first. Gonna finish his forehead going that way. And then I think there's hair spike here, maybe. It's unclear because it gets kind of blurry in here now. But I would imagine just kind of goes out from behind his head there. Yeah, that looks like him, I think. Looks like the hair anyway. So like the head goes into that big hat, right? So you can, it kind of just becomes, the hair is kind of like sticking out from the top of it a bit, but then the hat starts to get a bit more visible, like over this side, like the actual where his head is going into it, you know, the hole sort of. So like, you know, you'll get like this sort of hair stuff coming out from the hat. But the actual brim of the hat, the hole itself, is a little bit curvy there. It goes behind his ear. So this is hair that kind of sticks out the back of his head then. And it goes behind the beads that come down from his neck. So there's like a bit of overlapping stuff in there. Right. So front of his neck, I think, is kind of just here, and the back of his neck is in there somewhere, right? But there's all beads that come down. And then there's all the markings. And then I guess the hat as well. A few things in this. So if that's the back of his neck, right, the hat goes in sort of in behind. Might do that last. The hand is probably the next thing. So he's got like the claw coming, like pulling down his lip, right? Big spiky claw, and there's no nails. It's just like a solid sort of thing, right? And then comes down this way. Okay, and we can erase that line obviously, but they just do like a solid sort of 3D sort of shape there. And then the nail has, or the finger has rings on them, golden rings. And then this is like a knuckle. And then the next claw is in behind here. Another ring on the finger. And then the pinky goes in behind here, I think. And then his hand comes around that way. So hands are tricky now, so take your time. They're always hard, they never get easy. So another knuckle here, and this one's like grabbing the collar. Oh, it has another ring actually. We'll draw the finger first. There's a ring here. Like a knuckle line or something there. And then his thumb. So the thumb is weird because it looks like it's going around. So like it's just sort of like rounder because the claw is like clawing maybe into his costume somewhere, maybe. Not sure. It disappears anyway. It looks kind of stumpy like this. And then the wrist. Kind of like that, right? So that's the general shape of that stuff. Right, so those beads, we'll do this line of beads here. So we go from underneath his hair. So we start getting the circles. And then there's like tubes that connect the circles to the next layer of circles. Right, and from here there's like something going up behind his hair there. Let me go this way. Right, and that kind of goes down around here, but I'll deal with this sort of this side of his body first. So there's a collar here. I suppose there should be maybe a neck muscle kind of there. And the collar goes this way. And then it looks like his shoulder just goes off down here. Very dark in this part, but I think in their costume there is like another sort of cross section there. Right. Right, and then the beads come out from this finger. It kind of is like flying out, you know, because he's jumping around kind of thing. So this one keeps going from behind the wrist. It's kind of blurry here now, so I'm not really sure what way it goes, but I think they kind of curve around. I think, at least. Maybe a ball there. Like that, maybe. And then his other shoulder sticks out this way, so like down here, that loose fitting sort of clothing. Boom, boom. There's like something else in here. So he's like leaning back. I would imagine it's this that comes down here. There's like a chain in there, but very difficult to see anything. So yeah, so markings and the hat, right? So like the hat is really big. Like okay. And then it should come out here. Just like a big disc. And it's just all black in there. You can barely make out anything. There might be like a rim, you know, like an edge. You know, like just this sort of light kind of area there. Right, and then we got to do the markings. So you can't see all of them because of the way it is. So we'll just start adding them in. My kids are watching TV and they're laughing very loudly. So there's all markings, I think just going up his forehead. And down his cheek here. So of course these are done in color, so you like, they don't have lines on them in the movie, but it's kind of up to you if you want to just do it with your purple color that you're using. Is there another one there, or is that a shadow? Imagine there's another one there, but I'm not sure. there. Probably has some over here, but there's none visible. There's some on his leg, neck here. And then there is a bit on his hand, but can barely see any of them. Okay. I think that's the best I can do. That's not bad. Turned out better than I thought it would, actually. Difficult pose to draw. So, hope it helped you out. And if you haven't watched K-Pop Demon Hunters yet, I suggest you watch it. It's quite good. It's quite mesmerizing. The animation is top tier. I think, anyway. The CGI animation. Hope it's helpful. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.